All right, and welcome back to Clinical Trader. And today we're going to take a look at the All Ordinaries Index. It is the 16th of November 2022. And we'll start off by just taking a look at the previous highs that we've been observing. So we're looking here at August 2021, where this my mouse is, my cursor. We drag that across and extend that out to the right-hand side. We just did that horizontally. And you can see that we tapped against that a few times on the high side of the Australian All Ordinaries Index before we began to roll over. So the top was actually in April of this year, and we've had this rollover a couple of times. It's tried to recover, and you can see that it's come back down. So you could argue that we're actually in a little bit of a holding pattern here. I'll just come back to here. I'll start it there. In this area right there. I'm just going to make that so it doesn't extend right. Okay, and you can see that. So we're in that sort of zone there. It should all come all the way down here. And that's basically since, That's since June. So we're coming up to 6 months at the end of the year, and it's just been sort of going sideways, up and down. And of course, you'd love to have been able to pick this point here, although that was near impossible because you haven't really got a reference point in the past. But nevertheless, if you had been able to pick it here and then pick it here, and this is an more obvious one, simply because it comes down to that previous low. So we're now at the top up here on this weekly chart, and I guess the question has to be asked, what happens from here? Because if we push higher, the next target is going to be up at the maroon line here, which would put us back at the all-time highs, equal all-time highs. And I guess we've just got to ask ourselves, is the economy in a position in which that is valid? And I'm not really here to make judgment on that. I have my personal opinions, which I'll keep to myself. But you can make that decision for yourselves in the same way. So yeah, will we come up here? It's certainly, anything's possible, and that could happen. And we could even go higher and break out. But I would want to see fundamental improvement in the economy for that to happen, whether you're here in Australia or anywhere else for that matter. So that's where we find ourselves. So what evidence do we have that suggests that we might actually top out here like we did over at this previous high and then head lower? And of course, if it did head lower, will it stop here again on a third attempt? That's what we're interested to see. Because if that did break down, I think we'd be in for a pretty hard time, and the market would head south, head lower. Let's look at the daily chart. So here's our daily chart. We can probably extend this a little bit further out this way, just so that it's in the picture. That's probably a little bit higher there. Okay, look at that. It's tapped it absolutely perfectly here before it began to roll over. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that for sure we're coming back down to the bottom, but the evidence suggests that that's really quite possible. And we may find ourselves back down here in the 6,632 mark on the Australian All Ordinaries Index. We're also, in my opinion, looking a little bit overbought in the high ends here. And so that is sort of evidence that maybe we're about to head back lower. And how low we go is difficult to tell. We have support in this zone right here. It may stall there, but I see this 200-day moving average being an important point. So it might be that we come back down. And if we were to go higher, I would think that we could probably stall out here and then turn around and maybe we do go up to the all-time highs from the past. But, it's also possible we go lower and head down. Any of these moving averages here could provide support, and we just have to play that by ear. I mean, if these did break down, I'd say we're heading back down towards either possibly this level, but this looks more likely to me if we were to break down below those moving averages. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. And that's my take on the Australian All Ordinaries Index.